Good morning, Brian. How are you this morning?
Very well. How are you going?
Very well. Very well. I'd like to speak about the rail trail, which Dorset Council got $1.47 million to rip up an existing rail line, which is currently worth in the order of $30 million and is 98% ready to be used, to rip it up and put in a bike trail, which is going to cost $6 million, at least, of government and ratepayers' money.
Asset. The question is, what do we turn the asset? At the moment, it's just sitting there. I mean, it's not doing anything. What's the plan? Somebody's got a plan, bike track. Others are saying, nah, let's do the rail corridor. Others are saying, surely we can do both. The minds, though, I've got to say, are largely made up. Dorset Council has a fairly, the bike thing is the thing. Right? It's a big tourism issue, no doubt about it. It's huge. Okay, the opposition though to the rail trails being converted to bike only is being posited by some as a small group of disaffected, sometimes landowners who live nearby have had sort of free access to the trains and to the corridor, etc., etc. I'm not entirely sure that narrative is accurate. The reason being, we did a poll yesterday. What should the unused North East Rail Trail be used for? And we gave you three options: trains, bicycles, or both. The results in, and this is just in 24 hours, 68.15% of you want to see trains. Just over 15%, 15.07% bikes, and 16.78% both. Okay.
I'm just ringing up to thank you so much for what you did about the possible rail proposal for the corridor between Launceston and Scottsdale.
No, I'm not doing anything, Wendy. I'm just talking about it and taking calls from both sides of the argument.
Well, that was fantastic because the community put up the petition, and that's changed the direction with people power. And your polls that you took on your show just demonstrated how much support there is for the rail. And last night at the council meeting, they reversed their decision and they are now looking to hear us out. So it's been just a fantastic outcome, and I really believe that your show had a lot to do with that.
So, okay, the noises coming out of council, and in this case we're talking about Dorset Council, the noises coming out of Dorset Council indicated that the funding had been delivered, and again I'm doing this from memory, but $1.43 million, which by council funding, that would ultimately pay for the upgrade. Now, it's my information that we're literally weeks away from having various executives appointed to oversee this project. So you're now suggesting that Dorset Council has had a bit of a rethink and they're prepared to at least listen. Is that the message, is it?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
And yesterday there were surveyors on the line, and they're looking at surveying a line for the Crown. And I don't know who's going to meet those particular costs, but what is going to happen, because this is a change of use plan, it means that there's a whole new approach has to be taken to it. And when the legislation was brought into the upper house, there was a presumption of the line staying. So in order to remove the line, the corridor manager has to prove that there's no other alternative.
Yeah, I read this, Wendy. I read that too. But what I read it as is that the corridor has to be maintained, not necessarily the infrastructure on it, for future restitution to a rail line should that be required. But it doesn't specifically say that the corridors have to maintain the infrastructure or retain the infrastructure that would allow a train to use it. Am I wrong?
No, I think at the moment, and if the rails were lifted, and this was also included,
yep,
they have to be banked, which means that they get stored beside the rail for future use. And part of the 1.43 contribution from the Dorset ratepayers was the sale of those sleepers and the rail.
Oh, and you've discovered that they can't be sold off. Okay, they've got to sit there. Okay, that's interesting.
Absolutely, but the other big problem is that the landowners that own that land or have a leasehold over it, there's a major problem there because they have to be negotiated with, as far as they may have go into the millions trying to purchase the land back from those landowners.
What? So the corridor runs through private property? I understood it was a dedicated corridor. Oh, okay.
No.
Interesting.
It
All right.
runs through a lot
Okay.
of farmers' properties. And
All right. Well, okay. Well, we'll go back and have a chat with the folk at Dorset to see what the mind change is, other than just listen to the rail lobby. So we'll watch this space, Wendy. But we'll put in a call and see whether we can talk to them tomorrow or Wednesday. All right, I appreciate your call, Wendy at Bridport, who is a passionate supporter of the of rail being maintained on the northeast rail corridor. Mostly, from what I understand, relatively happy to have it as a dual purpose. Is that your understanding, Wendy?
That would be fantastic. That would be the absolute, that would be the best option, because rail proponents have already invested $250 million into it in rolling stock. They've already bought the trains, and it's been inspected by a qualified engineer. But what about a fabulous historical train experience for everybody to be able to do, not just bike riders? And it would create jobs, and it'd be a big force multiplier for the people in Launceston, because people would stay longer. And historical train rides are very, very popular throughout the world. It won't cost the public or ratepayer any money at all, because we have so much private investment.
There's a lot of passion around this issue, a huge amount of passion, and I would argue a fair bit more support for the rail than some people think. Anyway, we'll explore that a little later.